Hey, everybody. Welcome to Three Silver Strands. My name's MJ Clements, and we have Irene Murphy with us and Marlena Gross. And we're super excited to be here with you. Go, Irene. Or no, Marlena. Go, Marlena.
Yeah, today.
Marlena.
So we're kind of switching things up a little bit today, and we're testing the waters on who feels comfortable doing whatever they do. And so thank you, MJ, for starting us out. And today we're talking about um, what are we talking about? Humility.
Humility.
Humility. Today we're talking about humility. And so I'm going to talk about uh, taking pride in our homes. And there was something that really inspired me about a month or two ago. There was a video of a gal who was talking about a friend who just really got into cleaning her house. And so her house was staying clean a lot. And she had noticed that of her friend, and she said to her, "You really like cleaning, don't you? I mean, it's amazing. I don't like to clean my house." And her friend said, "No, I don't like to clean at all. But what I love is I love to make things beautiful." And I was so touched and inspired by this because everything I do is about making something beautiful. It always has been. I love to make crafts and make things for my friends and my loved ones. I love to uh, interject beauty everywhere I go. So I wear things with sparkles because I like to say that my favorite color is sparkle. And uh, I like to add color into everything that I do and where I live and things like that. I like to um, have things that are fun around me. And so what I thought when she had said this was it's really an inspiration to be able to make our home a beautiful place. And how does that happen? Does that mean, we have the perfectly inspired colors for our walls and our curtains and our floors? Or does that just simply mean that sometimes it's just picked up and clean? So, my tips today for taking on the attitude of being proud of where we live and being humble with what we have. I have 3 steps to helping you get that done. And you've probably, if you've listened to me for any length of time, you've more than likely heard me say these things before. But these are the 3 things that I have found, regardless of where I am, if I'm in a hotel room, if I'm staying with somebody else in their home, or if I'm taking care of my own. These are the 3 things that are almost always noticed. And so they can lead you into a beautiful space. So the first one is to keep your flat surfaces clean. That means putting the dishes in the sink or in the dishwasher and keeping the counter as clean as you can. Um, or finding a tickler file for your papers. So if your mail, when it comes in the door, doesn't have a place to go, it's going to get piled and piled and piled, right? In that one spot that's always catching the mail. So if you've got a tickler file that can go there, so you can just automatically file that stuff and file the rest in the trash. Or if there's a space like the table, the dining room table, that seems to catch everybody's schoolwork or the project of the week or whatever, to keep something pretty in the middle of it, like a vase of flowers or a nice, pretty um, centerpiece in the table. It helps you not put stuff down. And I noticed for me a few years back, especially with boys who are busy all the time and we homeschool and they have projects they're doing or programs that they're in and stuff, we would end up with a table full of clutter. And when I put the centerpiece in the middle of the table, it curbed the instant dropping of everything landing there because they knew that I wanted to keep the table pretty. And so then they would take their stuff to their room or where the designated place it belonged, the violin to the music space or the um, the paperwork into the drop file that we have by the front door. The second thing is to do something with all your pillows and your blankets and stuff. Make your bed, fix the couch cushions, straighten up the pillows or the blankets on the couches or chairs. Just by doing that, it keeps it homey and but still available for when you need it, and it makes it easier to not dump stuff on there. So one of my biggest issues when I was younger was dropping my coat or my sweater, my purse, my stuff. It would drop instantly to the couch. But when the couch was clean when I got home, it made me aware that that's not where I wanted it to drop because it would stay there. And so I would take my stuff away from the living room and go drop it into my drop zone where I had a drop zone. And then the third thing is a 15-minute pickup every day. If you just set your timer 15 minutes and you teach your kids how to do this with you, it is so inspiring for them because now everybody's excited. They're getting into the routine of things, and the house gets picked up in an instant. So, having those things picked up, the toys on the floor, it's totally legit to have all the toys picked up before dad walks in the door, or if you're a stay-at-home dad, to have them picked up before mom walks in the door. It's totally a great thing to make sure the coats are hanging in the closet. It's Here we are coming on the colder months, making sure those are picked up and hung up, um, putting the dishes into the sink off the table, just doing a 15-minute pickup through the house, everybody working together, whether you all work at the same time in the same room or each person has their own room to work on. Setting that timer, so many things can get done in 15 minutes. And as soon as my website is up, that's one of the first things I have on my website is the timing that it takes to do certain things. And if you just time yourself, you'll find that it generally takes less than 2 minutes to fill the dishwasher, or it takes all of 20 seconds to wipe down a sink. And when you have a list of the things that you need done each day, you can throw those into your 15-minute time period and get them done. And it creates a beautiful home. It creates pride in the family, for everybody working together. And it creates humility because working with one another allows you to see each other's strengths and weaknesses and work those things through. And so, those are my 3 tips on how to keep a beautiful home.
Thank you.
Nice.
I love that about the 15-minute cleanup. My 2-year-old grandson actually does that. He will actually sing the cleanup song.
Mm-hmm.
Clean up, clean up. 2 years old.
So cute.
Awesome. That is. That is awesome. It makes me think too, because of the subject line that we're on as far as humility. Um, we're thinking more on others, you know. And I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so um, I have a prayer for us before I go and share my little ditty. So I pray. May the Lord be with us today as we commit this day to Him. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I pray we have ears to hear what Holy Spirit is saying to us in this hour and hearts to receive His truth. Holy Spirit, I ask you to guide our steps and our words that we may glorify you in everything we do and say today in Jesus' name. And I feel like, in a way, that's exemplified in what Marlena was talking about when we take care of ourselves. I was born a messy,
Me too.
And I know that I still work with it, but somebody acknowledged something in my life where I am always saying, I'm trying or I'm trying, and she's like, turn that trying into triumph. And um, you're triumphant when you not only declare it, but you take the step in faith to act on it. And I'm first in line to be testing that on my life. Um, but I am going to share the condensed story of a young man, Joseph. He was the youngest of his brothers and was favored by their father. He was favored because he was born in his father's old age. But this made his brothers jealous. And to put the icing on the cake, if you will, he had dreams and he wouldn't hold back on sharing the dreams with his family, which made the brothers even more jealous. And because of the stature of the dreams, he provoked even more jealousy with his brothers to the point they wanted to do away with their little brother. His brothers did terrible things to him, one of which was they sold him as a slave. In the course of time, to make the story short, Joseph went through a lot. He was set up by his own boss's wife, which put him in jail. But throughout the story of Joseph, there was one thing that I noticed. I noticed it would always point out that the Lord was with him. While he was in jail, two others were put there along with him, and the two had dreams. And it's because of these dreams that Joseph is given his next chapter in life. The one man, once freed, shared the results of their dreams and how Joseph, in the Lord's favor, interpreted them. Joseph, upon interpreting them at the time, asked the one man to remember him for what he shared once he sees the results, which is another key. But the one man, who was the winemaker, saw this happen just as Joseph had said, and he forgot his request until 2 years later when Pharaoh had dreams that no one could interpret. The winemaker was a winemaker and the baker. The winemaker told Pharaoh, and they freed Joseph so that he could interpret Pharaoh's dreams. And we can kind of say that the rest is history. Um, but I went on to say that this leads Joseph back to dealing with his family again, but in a different perspective. Um, he gives Joseph wisdom. And after that, the time has gone by. Joseph also has gone through some maturity. He's been through a lot. He's now in a place that is prominent and he could do one thing or another. He could just say, "Oh, here are my brothers, put them in jail." He could pretty much do whatever. But the Lord was with him. And why does it continue to say that throughout this story about Joseph, that the Lord was with him? Oh dear, hang on. um, but that I believe that it's because Joseph always put the Lord first.
Mhm.
And I think the same goes when even in our everyday lives, when we're cleaning our house or whatever, that we're doing it as unto the Lord. Even our jobs, how we respond to other people. Um, One thing I had mentioned was that, if we were to just look at everybody as though they were Jesus, we probably wouldn't respond in the way that we would sometimes, right? So, anyways, Joseph's heart had compassion for his brothers instead of hatred or anger. And the dreams that Joseph had at the start are now coming to pass. And so I want to share the attitudes. Um, and this is in the New King James Version. And I did it this way because I like how it starts with blessed are. So it says, in seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. And it goes on to talking about being the salt and the light. And I feel like Joseph's example, he could have easily just, dismissed his brothers for all that they did. And rightfully and justly, he could have, you know, but God gave him a heart of compassion. Why did God give him a heart of compassion? Because I think he put the Lord first. And I think in humility, that is a demonstration of the love that God has for us. Like Jesus demonstrated it by putting his father's request in his life first. Every time he would, explain himself, he would say, "I'm only doing what the Father has told me to do." And we could go in all sorts of directions with that, honoring your father and mother. But I think in this case, because a little bit of our topic, with just doing that 15 minutes, which I really love, just take 15 minutes and do one thing, whatever it may be that, came to mind, and do it like we did on the last episode, do it with a cheerful heart. But to keep our hearts basically bowed before the Lord. And we want to do everything in our lives every day with Him being first. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and I forget to do that. And then I wonder why my day feels a little chaotic or whatever. And I think I don't think we have to do 20 Hail Marys or anything like that to get God's approval of, forgiveness or anything like that. I think it's just a matter of seeing whatever the mistake might be, that, we didn't put him first or whatever, and just, asking, Lord, I didn't do that. I pray that you forgive me. I want to put you before me, and you guide my steps. You lead the way. And Yeah, he's going to show himself faithful regardless, but he's going to show himself faithful even more when we acknowledge him, just like Joseph, even though Joseph ended up in jail, and longer than, I mean, I think he probably thought this might be the time that I'll be able to get out of jail, but yet he still had to wait another 2 years. What did he do during those 2 years? The Lord saw his heart at all times. And, he could have been groveling and like, um, oh man, I got to stay in here for another 2 years. It's not fair, just all these things. But yet, I think if God would to give us the story that what was going on in there when he was there, I think we would probably see that his heart was always towards the goodness of God and the love that God had for him. And I think it did a work in his heart, regarding his family, his brothers and sisters. And it's such a beautiful story. And it even goes further, once he confronts his brothers, and even with the youngest one. I would encourage everybody to go read it. I think it's Genesis 35. It's the Old Testament, so it's got a long story about it. But so yeah, that's my take on humility, and hopefully it was helpful.
It sure
And
was.
there you have it. There goes Irene.
Thank you, MJ. That was really good. I love the story of Joseph because he was just so humble. So, so when that's what we need to do, right? Well, we need to humble ourselves before the Lord, and that's exactly what he did. So how do
Mhm.
we teach humbleness to our children? And as I was thinking about, okay, like what am I going to talk about? Like I was thinking about what we hear about church. We're all members of one body, and that each of us has a function. So when you're talking to your children about humility, you can think, well, each of us has a gift. Each of us has a role to play in this world. And they're all unique. If we were all artists, we'd have nobody to admire. We were all singers, we'd have nobody to listen. If we were all writers, we would have nobody to read and nobody to appreciate what each of us has to offer. So when you're thinking, but when you're talking to your children about it, you can really, go, hey, you're really good at drawing. What is your best friend really good at? Oh, he's really good at running. Wow, isn't that wonderful? And you can actually go, well, maybe you could get, you know, Sally to teach you how to run. And maybe you could teach Sally how to draw. And then, each of us forms each other and helps each other out that way, and we can learn from each other. Not everybody is really organized. So like the last episode, like I really enjoy Marlena's Facebook group because it teaches me, oh, okay. Marlena said, like, look at the smooth surface, let's let's clean that. I really enjoy MJ's little snippets of wisdom of what she can get out of the Bible. And, you know, so teaching your children is just let's learn from each other. And then that way we're not proud and we're thinking, where we can become conceited. And just teach your child that each of us has a gift to give away, like our last episode on charitable giving. And these gifts were meant to give away, to share with others, and for the benefit of the others around us.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the other thing too is to be really quick about, um, recognizing, like, because I always, I have my grandchildren 3 times a week, and, sometimes they can just be overlooked with just the small deeds that they do, so it's like, when you see them even do something that maybe it turns out to be messy because they tried to do it, to really, recognize their what they were doing. Um, I think that's really important because, I think sometimes little ones can get lost in the shuffle of us trying and doing and all of that. And I think it builds them up. And I truly think that that's part of their nature. They're born into sin, right? They're born into, um, so if, sin is the opposite or whatever you want to call it or whatever from love and from the actions of love, you know, their nature will go into that type of stuff. But as teachers and as encouragers and guidance people, we are to direct them towards the light, to be able to see, um, and do and be what love is. And I think it becomes their desire. I think that when it says that he will give us our heart's desire, I really believe that that's truly what it's pertaining to, is that our heart's desire is, to please our Father in heaven. Our heart's desire is to love him and to be loved back by him. And if we don't teach that, if we don't show that to our children or our grandchildren, they get lost in that shuffle, and they're not really going to know what they're destined for, you know. So sorry, I went right off.
Nope, it didn't. That was great.
Perfect.
That was great. Yeah, and I just think, like children, it's like, I mean, I can't hold a tune singing if my life depended on it, but I sure can appreciate a singer that sings well. And when a child feels, like, wow, I can't do it, just really, really emphasize what they can do. But look at this, look what you can do. And just really root for that child and
Yeah.
train up a child in the way he
Yes.
should go. If you see he's gifted some way, like my child, my 2-year-old grandchild, like my goodness, he likes doing backflips. And
Aw.
my son says, I think he's a born gymnast. So so I thought, well, maybe he is because he keeps doing these backflips and they keep thinking, he's gonna hurt himself. But I think he really likes doing backflip.
Awesome.
So there he is. He's gonna be going into gymnastics.
Aw.
Awesome.
That
Just
makes
like
MJ's
MJ.
heart happy.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
he is
Yes.
a gymnast.
Hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
He'll
I
be the
think that when we teach them um what what they need to know. So, sometimes we need to have, skills like math and science. Sometimes we need to have skills of cleaning off the counter or washing the dishes. Sometimes we need to have skills that train us in something that we truly love and enjoy, like singing or gymnastics. But you're right, we need to train them. And if we don't train them, then they're not ever going to be able to navigate the things that we're talking about, like humility and pride and what they're doing, and just doing a generally a good job at something. You don't have to be perfect or amazing, but if you take pride in your work and you're humble in heart while you do it, then you're going to um, they will ultimately reap the rewards of those actions. And
yes.
uh, it all comes down to
Yeah.
us teaching them what they need to know, whether they're preschoolers or teenagers or young adults. It's our job. God says in Titus 2 through 3 that the older women are to teach the younger women how to do 7 or 8 different things in that verse. And um, two of them are loving others. But there's um, a lot of things that we can teach, and I think that if we continue to do that from the very young to the women that are beneath us in age, then we'll be able to change the world. And what a great thing that is, right? So,
Yes. Make sure to put him first
that's
in
right.
everything.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
are all members of one body, and we all have something to offer.
No matter how far apart we are,
That's
you
right.
know, so,
For his glory.
for
Mhm.
his
We're all
glory.
in different parts of the world,
We are.
Well, the
different
continent.
states, and I'm in, yeah, the continent. I'm in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in
Mm.
the South. MJ's in the
In the
Northeast.
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 What's with the scowl? You live in a beautiful state.
I'm in
Uh,
the West South.
I always feel like I was born in the wrong place.
Northwest.
Aw.
Oh.
Well, you can move
Oh,
like I do.
Mm.
you
No, I
know.
don't think I think my husband's a homebody.
Mhm.
uh
Mm,
God's put us where we're supposed to be. We
I
teach
Yeah.
know.
children that too, bloom where you're planted, and grow the way that God wants you to grow. It comes out in the right place in the end. And
Yeah, it doesn't matter where we are as long as
no,
we're um, holding his hand, knowing that he's guiding us and he
we
has a
can do it
purpose
from
for
far
us.
away as
Yep.
one another, or as close as we need to one another, you know. So I think that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, we love you guys and we'll
Yeah.
see you guys the next time.
Bye.